Hello everybody, my name is Moth, welcome back to the channel. So as mentioned in the previous videos, I've now completed the Anomic agents and the Anomic team kind of guides. And I wanted to kind of move on and create a new character and primarily focus on kind of high sec content, low sec with some PvP in null using filaments. So what I'm going to show you today is the character that I created. So I created a character called Moth YT. It was born on the 20th of January. Moth YT currently has 40 million skill points. So these are skill injectors. I skill injected about 52 to 55 billion ISK of skill injectors, so you know, quite a considerable amount. In summary, what can Moth YT fly? Well, I can fly a Barghest for doing blitz missions. I can fly a Gila for doing abyssals as well as high sec blitz missions. I can fly a Tengu for exploration in wormholes as well as in nullsec. I can fly a Garma for doing all the Anomic teams, a Nurgle for doing the Anomic agents, and a Daredevil for doing the Anomic agent Dramiel. So again, really focused in on those key fundamentals, and at 40 million skill points I can do all of those. Plus I also have the ability to go out in a Thrasher and do some PvP, because that is my favourite ship, probably of all time for PvP. So what have I been doing since the character's been created in January? If I go up here and I go to the agency, which I think is again, so shout out CCP, fantastic addition. I was really happy when this first launched. So I've been doing the epic arcs, and if we scroll down, so I've completed the Bloodstained Stars. So this is like the starter epic arc, and actually to do this you don't really need any standings. I think it's open to everybody as long as you're not -2 or -5. You can comfortably do the Bloodstained Stars epic arc. And if I just switch across to here, what you can actually see is Bloodstained Stars. It's a high sec kind of epic arc. There's 52 missions. Using the EVE University website, you can do them in a Thrasher, Catalyst, Cormorant, Coercer. I actually did mine in a frigate. I did it in a Worm, which is a sort of Garista based frigate using drones, so it's a mini Gila. Took me about 3 hours, 3.5 hours total to do. And actually the reason I did it was you know, I had this kind of intention to bring my standings up with this character as quick as I can. So when I started off this character, I had 2.0 standings just doing the Sisters of Eve epic arc. You get a bonus at the end here of 8.75% if you have social 5, which I do, or 7% to your faction of choice. I chose Koldari, so I actually walked away from a 2.0 standing to a 2.7. You know, not super high, but definitely a significant increase for doing frigate missions. Once I'd completed the epic arc, I was like, okay, what's the next thing for me to do to get more standings? And again, using the EVE University website, you know, looking at the gaining faction standings fast, you know, I know of the Cosmos missions released in 2007, 2009-ish. And I also know about data centers. So I wanted to do both of these before I then headed on to do the larger epic arcs, which require like battleships. So what is a data center? A data center is essentially a mission where you hand in pirate tags. And when you hand in a pirate tag, for example, you get standings back for it. Now, I do mine for Koldari State. So as you can see here, you've got the kind of contents list. The one thing I would say before you actually do these data centers is if you go to do a data center mission and you fail it, you will lose faction standings quite considerably. So only really talk to the agent when you're ready to do the mission. So if I click here and I go down to Koldari State, these are the list of the agents that you can gain standings for Koldari, and you must hand in the Garista tags. So I went out in my Worm, I was in Jita. I think I spent about 450 million on these tags. Again, it's accessible for a new person because you can always go out and actually kill NPCs in belts, kill NPCs in missions, and collect the tags. Some of them are rarer than others, so I'd say as and when you get your liquid ISK kind of funds built up, If standings is what you're looking for, then this is a really quick way. After completing all of these data centers, it put me around the 4 to 4.1 from a 2.7. So my standings were now good enough to do a level 4. I thought, okay, let's keep going on the standings journey. What next? And as mentioned here, the Cosmos is an original set of kind of event storylines. So I set about doing those. So I went and did the Caldari Cosmos missions, which are in a constellation called Oculon, and it's about 7 jumps from the Forge. And what you've got here is you've got a list of all of the agents. Now, remember, if I walk away from the Sisters of Eve and the data center and I have about a 4 to 4.7, it essentially means that every agent here in this list is accessible to me. And as you can see, that's quite a considerable amount of agents and missions. Let's pick one at random to have a look. So let's pick Midoki Urigamu. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. So Midoki has got a 4-level kind of storyline. So what you need for this one is you need to transport 100 construction blocks. So this you would require a frigate with expanded cargo holds or an industrial. This one you're definitely going to need an industrial, another industrial. So to me this kind of stands out. The first 3 are really around hauling, and the last thing is you need to destroy a pleasure gardens in Saikanan. So you do 4 of those, and on the 4th one when you hand it in, you get a standings increase to the faction and the local corporation. Let's pick another one. Let's pick Tomoko. So on here, again, you've got 3 missions, and it's only on the final one that when you hand it in, you will eventually get your standings increase. These are well documented on EVE University. If you, and again, all of the links for these will be below. As you can see, so Ikimara doesn't actually have complete information because they have that in kind of like a dark orangey red kind of tone. But those that are in orange and have a clear hyperlink, go through and have a look. You know what? These are fantastic. After completing the Sisters of Eve, data centers, and Caldari Cosmos, I can show you here what I walked away with. So I walked away with a standings of 5.19. So you only need a standing of 5 to be able to do the Caldari Epic Arc. So that's exactly what I started to do. So I went and got myself a Barghest, and again, remember, my character's skill injected, so I'm able to do that. So here's my Barghest, and apologies for the FPS. For some reason, the computer I'm using is having a bit of a hard time this evening. I'm not sure why. So I then moved on to do the Caldari Epic Arc. And again, if you want to find these sort of Epic Arcs in game, you go to the Activities tab, the Agency, which I'll do here. So you bring it up, you're on the home screen, you click Agents and Missions, Epic Arcs, and you find the ones. And what happens is they appear at the top and say available when they're available. So you can see I've got 2 here that I can do. One for the Garistas and one for the Angels. But I've also already completed the Caldari one. So the Caldari one is 17 missions. And again, using the EVE University, which if you're new to the game or you're not new to the game, please consider joining them. You know, I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just hold them in quite high regard for making this game accessible. So a big shout out to them for putting so much effort into doing them, and maybe in the future I'll do a guest talk on missions and standings and maybe share what I know, but here we are. So we're on the Epic Arc for the Caldari. So sorry, we're not on the Epic Arc for the Caldari. So I've typed in Penumbra. Type in Penumbra. Oh, I didn't actually type it in properly. So EVE Online. So if you click here, we're now on the Sisters of Eve Epic Arc. The Caldari Epic Arc. What's really good, it kind of gives you a detailed kind of run through about what it is. You've got all of the missions down here. It tells you exactly what you're going to get depending on the path that you choose. And looks like there's 3 different paths that you can choose. The Hayas Yoda, the Nugu something, and the I picked this one, easier to say, just the home and peace one. And again, you kind of go down what you're going to get. You'll get 5% standings increased expert distribution. You get 20% to Caldari Navy or 20% to the other two. I got Caldari Navy because of the path that I chose. You will lose some Serpentis standings. I'm not too concerned about that, nor am I concerned about the Gallente. In the future, I will go do some Serpentis missions again, because that's where I've been since 2008 in Fountain 2009, doing missions for the Serpentis on my main character. So I will go do some faction missions at some point. It kind of gives you the preparations of what you should consider buying. You know, blockade runner, so there's clearly going to be missions where you move stuff. You do need a data analyzer, a battleship, and then potentially a travel fit. And again, there's a link there to a clear kind of fit that they recommend. Tells you where the actual agent starts. And what I love, and this is exactly what I did, I basically followed this. So I prepared to do the epic arc by putting a ship in Poinan, Planet 4 Move 13, put my battleship there and my interceptor. I then also moved to Uharlunen, a weaker, so I actually put a Cerberus there, which is a heavy assault cruiser. And then I grabbed my interceptor and I started. And as you can see, you can actually use your interceptor for the majority of chapter 1 and chapter 2. You then use some of your combat ships to do this mission. You then back in your interceptor. Then you do another battleship mission called Across the Line. And if I just go back into this, that's also blitzable. So the Caldari Epic Arc is fantastic to do. It takes about 2.5 hours. It's a really fun kind of Epic Arc to do. And actually, on one of the missions here where you have to transport, you have to go to Nullsec. You have to go to an area in Syndicate, which is the path that I chose. I took an interceptor, and halfway through doing it, I jumped into Lowsec, and there was an insta-camp consisting of a scythe, broadsword, I think 2 signables, a vigilant, and a Dramiel. And of course, the Dramiel was remote sensor boosted, being remote repped by the logistics cruisers. So rather than try and warp off, get caught and killed, I burnt away from the gate in Lowsec, pulled the Dramiel about 100 kilometers off the gate, turned around, started shooting him, and just as he started to realize the game was up, because the scythe was staying on the gate, he warped out, so he was stabbed, which is pretty shocking, that they're willing to gate camp and they're not willing to fight. But again, you know, I'm an experienced player, so if you're not experienced in those moments, crash the gate, burn straight back to the gate and jump through, and then put an avoid marker on that destination or that system, and it'll kind of reroute you like a sat nav to go around those issues. So like I say, that's what I've been up to in the last 2 to 3 weeks from creating the character. I've also been very busy at work, so I've not been able to put as much time and effort into actually getting some videos together. I'm going to do kind of like a montage of the Sisters of Eve, the data centers, the Cosmos, and the Caldari Epic Arc. Just a montage with some Eve music in the background to kind of bring people up to speed and show them the different aspects of Eve. But the next time you'll see videos from me, it should be me trying to find a place to live in HiSec, why I'm going to choose that location, what is my thought process behind it, what rewards are on offer. And once I've got HiSec set up, I'll be setting up a Lowsec base, and then as always, I'll be making my way to Nullsec, which is where I've lived the majority of my time. So thank you very much for watching the video. And again, if you've got any questions on either the initial Epic Arc or how you gain standings fast using the data centers or the Cosmos, or if you want some advice on fits for doing the Epic Arcs, please leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to help. Until the next time, look after yourself.